Look, there could be several reasons for that, and I would hope that indeed there are genuine reasons, like maybe logistics being one of them. Two, the untimely passing on of a colleague. That could be another reason. Um, but one would also not rule out the possibility that the ructions in the party and what we hear and see going on at the commission, at the Zondo Commission, might have impacted and influenced the decision to postpone. As certainly what transpired on the day when Ndate Brian Molefe pitched on. What he said there was almost letting the cat among the pigeons. That defined another battle line and indeed cemented the perception in some quarters that the Zondo Commission has become a front line, right, for the protagonist. And indeed, either way you look at it, the arsenals are being sharpened for the final push. For the final push.
So you're talking about Brian Molefe's testimony centered around President Cyril Ramaphosa. And if we talk once again about the factions within the governing party, how would that position have been strengthened one way or the other after that testimony?
In the main, it emboldened the anti-Ramaphosa faction. Or if you want to personalize it, would say it emboldened the Zuma stroke Mahashule faction and weakened the Ramaphosa faction. I have no doubt in that regard that to some extent that is the case. And it would be naive not to concede that. It would be folly also to say they haven't taken cognizance that the ammunitions in the court of public opinion are such that it leaves almost nobody untainted in the ruling party. And if you talk about the top six, if you talk about Mahashile, who seem to be portrayed as the public, as a public figure representing corruption in the ruling party, I think for now the weight on his shoulder will be eased a little bit. Even his supporters would say, yes, let them look us in the eye and say the president is not worthy of whatever treatment they want to meet against him.
Professor, let's talk more about the step-aside resolution. It's arguably the biggest issue facing the ANC now, and that is the issue of corruption, and whether the party is at least seen to be acting against corruption. A big question now is whether it will continue to lose ground in terms of elections, whether its majority in the national election is under threat. How will it convince voters to continue voting for the ANC when it cannot act on the issue of corruption?
Well, let me sound a little disappointing here. Africans are not persuaded by ideas, neither persuaded by evidence. If that was the case, certainly the ANC would have lost power in the past 10 years. They certainly would not have won that. And I dare say, even if we were to call the election tomorrow, they would still win, perhaps with a reduced majority. It is ethnic extraction is what is in it for me. It is the benefits that accrue with the office, with the political office, that tend to motivate the Africans when it comes to making decisions. And I'm not talking about the ANC, by the way, not South African. I'm talking about the African experience when it comes to politics. We still have a long way to go. One example that I often just cite, and that is enough. In Vuwani for the elections last time, they banned about 40 schools. 12 hours before the election, they changed tag and gave the ruling party 73%. It is that type of mindset that we have to deal with. You cut your nose to spite your face, and you go to vote to call for more of the same. And when people say there is something wrong with the psyche of a black man at one level, then we think they are racist. The fault is not with the stars, the fault is with us. Maybe the fault is no longer with the ANC. The fault is with the electorate.
Professor, you're giving us a lot to think about early on a Monday morning. I want to ask you again about the step-aside resolution, because even though the NEC meeting has been postponed now to next month, it's going to have to come up. And what happens then?
Inevitably, it will come up. Look, there will lobby, there will be trade-offs, and in politics there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, right? The sand will keep shifting and the lines will get blurred, but I certainly cannot deny the fact that the Magashule faction is emboldened, and indeed, if there is any redemption for the party, then let them go to the document called Through the Eye of the Needle. Let there be no holy cows. Let them accept that they have to be born again. They have to do some serious introspection. And I dare say, where it is right now, the ANC for me is so fractured that it is beyond redemption. Like many elders in the ANC who said then, if they were to lose power for about one term, 5 years, and let the opportunists and careerists fall down by the wayside, and the genuine and authentic members of the ANC remain, yes, they can redeem themselves. But wrong people are now at the helm presiding over matters of state and using the ANC as a vehicle to do that. There are good men and women, by the way, within the ANC who can take it forward. But most of them have vilified, denounced and renounced, and right now are in the periphery. They could come back once they see some hope in the organization. And indeed, even the electorate, even those people who didn't vote, about 17 million of them previously might come back to give them another lease of life.
Professor Lesiba Teffo, it's always a great pleasure talking to you. Thanks very much for your time. He's a political analyst talking to us there as we continue to unpack the postponement of the ANC's NEC meeting to February over the weekend, the party holding a lekgotla instead.